England sit third in the world rankings, Argentina 10th. Both feel they have a lot more to come, and now is the time to show it. The Pumas with the experience in their lineup, but England with the momentum from their results. Twickenham expects this afternoon. So here we go with the second of England's QBE internationals. Argentina back at Twickenham for the first time in 4 years. A match commentary in 3D this afternoon comes from Dowie Morris and Martin Gillingham, and here on Sky Sports 2 from Stuart Barnes and Miles Harrison.
A win over Australia in sport is never to be taken lightly, but England knew almost right on the whistle last week that the victory, as sweet a one as it was only step one this autumn. It's time to crack on today and show that the favourite tag is fully justified again before they meet the world's best here in 7 days' time. But there can be no eye-off-the-ball moments against Argentina, now part of the Rugby Championship 4, and a team that has given England many a fright in recent times. England team first then, and a whole new front row. Mako Vunipola injured last week, so Joe Marler starts. Davy Wilson on from the off as well. Great chance for him too against this top scrummaging team. And Dylan Hartley, who also came off the bench to good effect. Then the pack changes stop. Joe Launchbury and Courtney Laws in the second row again. Tom Ward, captain Chris Robshaw, Billy Vunipola, the back row trio that worked well together against Australia. Halfbacks unchanged too. It didn't quite go for Lee Dixon last week. Same for Owen Farrell early on, but he bounced back, didn't he? Billy Twelvetrees, he described his performance as rubbish, but the management have been encouraging, and he and Joel Tompkins look to build that relationship at centre. And the back three would have been different to this, but Marlon Yard and Christian Wade both injured, so Chris Ashton goes again. Ben Foden is back, and Mike Brown following his man-of-the-match display. Argentina, new coach, the captain injured, their long-time playmaker retired, two other high-profile absentees in Hernandez and Vergajo. But the scrum still looks strong, of course. Leicester's Marcus Ajurza, Max Busto, and Bath's Eusebio Guineazu. Worcester's Mariano Galaza and the Toulouse warrior Patricio Albacete, the locks. Leicester's new man, the highly talented youngster Pablo Matera, is alongside Julio Farias Cabello, 15 years his senior, and Juan Manuel Leguizamon, the captain, no Fernandez Lobe. No Felipe Contepomi in the backs, ever again now retired. So half-backs Thomas Cubelli and Nicolas Sanchez have increased leadership roles. Santiago Fernandez and Marcelo Bosch. Now Saracens, of course, Bosch, plenty of experience in midfield. And the back three looks dangerous if they get the ball. Wanimov, Horacio Aguza of Bath, and the former Leicester man, Lucas Gonzalez Amorosino. On the bench, we should focus on the Youngs family, and the new addition, Tom, became a father for the first time on Thursday, a baby girl. He's back with the squad now. Uncle Ben, well, he's out with a hip injury, but should be okay for next week. Danny Kerr comes into the squad. And the two Alexes are back, Corbisiero and Good.
Well, for 50 minutes last week, England didn't manage much momentum against Australia. Contact was taken too readily, while a lack of midfield depth from both the forwards and the backs frustrated any attacking ambition. Against an Argentina team that loves to lure the ball carriers into breakdowns, England must simply find the offloading game that eluded them last week if they are to avoid a dogfight. And Argentina, above all, thrive on dogfights.
Argentina not disgraced at all in the Rugby Championship against the winners of the tournament, New Zealand, but did rather let themselves down in South Africa and at home to Australia. And it was that defeat in Rosario that brought the curtain down on the career of Santiago Phelan as the national coach. Daniel Hukade steps up from the Jaguars to the Pumas, and this is first selection, and the absence of the injured captain, he's asked this man, Juan Manuel Leguizamon, to take over. Actually had a fine Rugby Championship on a personal level, and here to lead his country out at Twickenham.
Well, in what has been a difficult year to date for the Pumas, the one real highlight has been the ease with which Pablo Matera has stepped into Test rugby. Given the absence of the talismanic Juan Martín Fernández lobby, another battling performance is absolutely essential from the blind side against what was an extremely impressive English back row last weekend.
England wanting to show more this week, but also mindful of the fact that they have to earn the right to do that. Mindful of the conditions too, but it's dried up, thankfully. Argentina came within a whisker of winning in Perth, and New Zealand will testify just how tough their contests were just a few weeks ago. England captain Chris Robshaw will be expecting the familiar fight up front with the Pumas and at the breakdown too.
Well, Dylan Hartley offered a dynamic performance off the bench last week. Now the Northampton Saint has a start and a chance to re-establish his credentials as England's #1 hooker. His line-out work has been pinpoint accurate all season. Another performance of passion and precision could see him start next week against New Zealand, the land of his birth.
There's a mini guard of honour there formed by 4 coaches who inspired 4 England players, including Mike Brown's dad Mick, who was coach at Salisbury Rugby Club. Ben Foden back starting at Twickenham, first time in a year and a half. Anthems come shortly, but first we will take a moment to remember on this very special weekend of the year.
Commonwealth servicemen and women who've given their lives in 2 world wars and in more recent conflicts in Afghanistan, Iraq and around the world.
Ladies and gentlemen, please remain standing for the national anthem of Argentina, which will be performed by the Duke Royal Military School Band and Josephina Ashibal.
Please remain standing for the national anthem, once again performed by the Duke of York's Royal Military School Band and England's official anthem singer, Laura Wright.
There's the anthem led by Laura Wright, and for Argentina, Josefina Achaval, the partner of injured winger Gonzalo Camacho. He must be very proud. And Argentina may be coming to the end of a long, tough year, but they have a new coach to impress. England have a nation to satisfy with another Twickenham win, building the home factor bit by bit.
I think last week most people settled for the fact that it was England's first big game since the loss to Wales, and a victory was enough. Today, I think it's a fair assessment to say England need not only to win but find a performance, and by performance I mean pace on the game. Otherwise Argentina will be in this game.
Referee Pascal Gauzet from France, and he's with Chris Pollock, the New Zealander, Craig Joubert of South Africa, who will take charge of the New Zealand game next week. Gareth Simmons of Wales, television match official. What shape will England be in when they run into New Zealand in a week's time? Can they build on that victory against Australia, get the whole game going and not just parts of it? Can Argentina pull off another famous win here like the one in 2006, the one that ended Andy Robinson's reign as coach? Stuart Lancaster not under that sort of pressure, of course. His team looking to make it 6 in a row at Twickenham, 9 wins from their last 10. The end of season target has been set, number 2 in the world. It's Argentina in their chain strip to get us underway. Nicolas Sanchez caught by Lee Dixon, and we'll have our first line out.
Dixon will be looking to put a lot more pace into the game from a personal and a team perspective. Good solid start there, no messing around. Long kick from Argentina. Good distance there from Dixon. He didn't find that pace that he injects in Northampton. If he can do that, it'll bring everyone into the game.
Guniazu now with Bath, throws. Courtney Laws tried to get across, just couldn't get in there. Like it did against Horwell, causing Horwell to fall on the ground. And Australia failed to clear. Led to Robshaw's try last week. It's Ben Foden getting involved on the wing, not full back. England's back 3 played against South Africa in Port Elizabeth. And Sanchez retrieving. Good pressure from the England defence. CUBELLI. Mike Brown won't have to play.
Decent break there for CUBELLI with the way that ball just came right-handed. England won't mind if Argentina try to play between the halfway line and the 10-metre line. I think their press defence will put them under pressure, and in the end it's a good decision from the young scrum half there. Argentina are going nowhere. Don't allow your defensive team to put you on the back foot.
Courtney Laws waiting with Dylan Hartley, his club colleague at Northampton. Goes to another member of the Saints club, Tom Wood, who finds Lee Dixon another. Billy Vunipola. Robshaw was involved there, and also 12 trees. It's floated out now from Brown onto Ashton. Ashton told to go forward by using the boot. Amorosino uses his, and it lands for Brown in the end, first to react. Guniazu as well. CUBELLI.
Stop, 4, 9.
Mike Brown again. Ashton's come across this side now to chase a kick. Amorosino. Tackle low from Wilson, higher from Launchbury.
4-1.
Slow ball here for the Pumas.
They won't mind that though, they'll build it. They're happy for the ball to be stuck at the bottom of a breakdown. It's where they know how to play the game. But if they do this, it's critical their halfbacks keep them in the right position.
Argentina love a scrap around the breakdown.
Oh, an 80-minute breakdown, ruck and maul would be ideal.
Stop, move.
Sanchez deep again, well covered by Brown. He's touched it a lot early on, hasn't he? England want to see him come into the game as an attacking force. There's Foden. Dickson to Farrell. Bit of space there. Imhoff going back. Juan Imhoff.
Move back.
Came to the fore in the rugby world at the last World Cup.
Six.
A fine player. Farrell, counter-attack here. Offloads. Wood involved in Laws.
Push back.
Dickson. Launch spree. It's a long passage of play, this. 12 trees. Brown again. Farrell again. Tackle is good. Really good there from Sanchez. 12 trees again to Ashton. Marler. Trying to do everything Vunipola does. Mako Vunipola in the loose. He's certainly been doing it at club level with Harlequins this season. As Davy Wilson been in fine form again for Bath. Farrell. Slip out of the tackle there from Tom Wood. With Argentina there in numbers, fighting on the floor, but not to the liking of the referee that time, just going to ground.
Quite clean at the breakdown there, Lee Dickson getting the ball away swiftly, and England just finding a little bit more depth there. Smart work there from Dickson. Tom Wood, who's had a very good start, both carrying, winning line-outs and in support of Farrell from turnovers, from counter-attacks. Northampton man started this autumn in really fine form.
Well, Owen Farrell didn't start in great form last week off the kicking tee. Unusually, very unusually for him, of course. There's the man who led England in Argentina in the 2 tests in the summer. Victorious by 51 points to 26, 32 points to 3. But Argentina missing quite a few players then, as were England, of course. So here's Farrell.
Build up to the game. His kicking was a little bit in and out. Some beautiful strikes, but 1 or 2 flat strikes.
Really good start from Farrell. He'd normally expect to get that, of course, but in view of last week, that was a little bit tougher than usual for Owen Farrell. But toughness, he does that.
Decent start from England then, forcing Argentina to concede the penalty. Just moving the ball a little bit quicker in the first 10 minutes or so than they were against Australia, where they were really lethargic.
Dickson again, this time it's half charged down. And Argentina straight back into the game, and their captain, Leguizamo. Dropped by CUBELLI. But no knock on. That's Galaza. Former Leinster man. Now with Worcester.
Back wide.
Referee checks England offside, but he's playing advantage here. The chip into space, and Brown's there. But a penalty is coming.
5 wide offside.
Well, if anyone gave Argentina a chance to level the game, it's Imhoff. You can see him away circle there on the chase, well in front of everyone else. Dickson has caught the ball, but he's got great pace. Dickson, could he have got this away quicker? Yes, he could, but Imhoff is very quick, and he makes an excellent charge down. The left wing has a huge amount of pace, and he's used it really well, and that's a little bit embarrassing for Lee Dickson, who's made a good start. Great commitment there, as you'd expect from Argentina. He's a fine player, Imhoff, isn't he?
And proved it there, and there is the equaliser from Nicolas Sanchez. Imhoff creating it with the charge down, and Sanchez adding to his international tally, which is approaching 100 points now. 3-3. CUBELLI away. And that's what Dickson would have loved to have done. He did it from the kick-off to the match, but not from the restart after England's score.
Testerina's very unforgiving, isn't it? England make one real mistake in their own 22 in the first 7 minutes, and having controlled the game for about 6 minutes 50, it's level again on the scoreboard.
Shot there of the new Argentina coaching team. Daniel Hucade, the man in charge, having stepped up from the Jaguars side.
It's a great steal there from Argentina.
Some genuine presence at the line-out.
Ball 4, stem wide.
We're disappointed with the end result, which is an England put into the scrum. And let's go down to the touchline for the first time, and Will Greenwood.
Thank you, Miles. Just sat behind the Argentine bench with Esteban, and do your thoughts on the start from Argentina?
I think Argentina, they are feeling comfortable. They are getting some focus on the short play with the pick and goes, putting some pressure on England and creating some space. And the lineup's putting some pressure and stealing a ball, which is really good.
This another key area, the scrum. England eventually get the heel and go forward as well. Vunipola. England looking to add his power off the base of the scrum to their game. It's Joel Tompkins, his second captain, debut last week against Australia. Rob Shaw helps out. Farrell, 12-3, serves on to Foden. Foden takes on Agulla on the outside. Mike Brown keeps on going. Almost up to that Argentina 22. Launchbury needs to protect that. He's done really well to get it off the floor to Farrell, who delays nicely too and brings in Laws. The referee's coming back over here for the penalty.
Captain Leguizamon, side entry there. Encouraging for England again in space. They're looking dangerous. I like the combination of two full-backs in the back three. Foden and Brown going very well. Farrell not going for the corner, he's going for more. England on their lost line out. Dylan Hartley lost the ball there, but the pack are certain that they can get this right. It's a Northampton combination. It's Hartley throwing, it's Courtney Laws calling.
Crowd approve.
I assume it's Chris Robshaw making the decision to go into the corner.
The referee just freeing the gap at the line out. It works initially very nicely for England. Now can they come up with the power? Staying tight. Referee again holds out the arm, advantage to England. They push on looking for more than just the penalty. They've managed to keep it up. Laws doing a great job there. And towards the line now, backs involved. It's a pile of bodies and Pascal goes there. He's going to wait for one or two to peel away. He's still looking. What's his question?
No, come back.
No need for one.
Okay, not try, and come back here. 8 blue collapsing the mall. 8 blue.
So the original penalty, and apologies there if you picked up any bad language on the referee's microphone.
Great pressure from England, real patience as well, and the only logical call from the penalty was to go to the corner again. England protecting the ball really well. The collapse comes from Leguizamon. England, they moved Argentina 15 metres last time, only 5 to go this time.
The referee was running through the line out there, and he's back to the throw-in from Hartley, but he doesn't call a halt to play. England much closer in this time when they start the maul. And it's crabbing towards the post, but it might not worry England because that is the try line. It's another penalty. It's a try. Pat on the head for Launchbury. Pat on the back for the England pack.
Controlled play from England there. Big collective drive. Got so close from 15 metres the last time. They got another penalty. Never a thought of Farrell going for 3 points from wide. 5 metres out. They go the Northampton combo. Hartley to Laws. Argentina weak at the back. And England, having got so close the last time, always in control this time. Great body angles. And Launchbury, so prominent in the loose as a tackler and support runner. This time he's there tight with the forwards and going over for the score.
And Ben Foden, honorary member of the pack there. I think he enjoyed that. And Farrell, initial kick turned down by England. They now have a conversion. And a very healthy looking scoreboard, Will.
Huge statement of intent. 3-all, a pen, really kickable for Farrell. No, corner, let's go for 7. There's a sense last week the crowd was a bit flat, there was nothing to get behind today. Let's go for tries, let's pile up the tries, let's build the pressure. They're building this place into a fortress.
Restart from Sanchez. Yes, the crowd really approved the decision now. Here comes Billy Vunipola.
And he's not going to be charged down.
Stop one!
Farrell.
1-3. Okay.
Guizemon covering, as Fernandez Lobe often does, but also slipping. Very quickly back to the breakdown, though. The Argentina captain.
Stop.
That's one for Fernandez and Bosch through the middle. Was that forward? Had to be. Whistle's gone, Mike Brown's not heard it.
I think it was Lee
Tompkins.
Dixon.
Yes, it was Lee Dixon.
It wasn't a great kick from Marcelo Bosch. Doesn't get any distance. Dixon comes forward off his right shoulder. Clearly goes forward there. The pressure on Argentina there. It's a pass backwards to Bosch, the Saracen centre. And it was a hasty up and under there. And England have shown in the first quarter of an hour, if Argentina are kicking loose, there seems an intention for England to really put this ball into space. They're playing with a lot more pace than they did against Australia. They look a little bit more relaxed.
Bind 8. Crutch. Bind. Set.
He gets the nudge at the scrum here. We'll have to wait.
It's not Sabre, okay? It's not Sabre. Okay?
Great test for Dave Wilson today against Marcus Ashurtsa, the outstanding Leicester loose head. Wilson comes through against that Leicester man, and really he has put his credentials down to test Dan Cole for the All Blacks next week. Obviously, the most important thing at the moment is winning this test against Argentina, but a great opportunity for the Bath man.
6 Premiership finals, 1 Heineken Cup final for Ashurtsa in Leicester colours on this ground.
Bind. Set. Yes, 9.
You're quite happy with that scrum though, Argentina. More than happy. And remember in the Rugby Championship how they shoved New Zealand all over the place for a while in those games.
Well, through the ages, that's the one thing Argentina has always done expertly. Superb scrummage. They don't actually scrummage for penalties, but technically they're so good that they just force the pressure here.
Well, Graham Rowntree was talking in the week about how they scrummage long. They like it to stay in there, and it certainly did that time.
Technically, that was very good indeed.
Different scrums, different threats. Australia from exactly the same scrum, England same defensive setup. They go wide, they test Ashton with Folau. Argentina put their cards on the table, they get those scrums. They'll take them on up front and they'll try and win those set-piece penalties.
So long range. Bosch to give it one. And the Saracens man does what the England kicker, the Saracens man, can do. What a fine strike that was from Marcelo Bosch.
Well, he is a bit of a hit and miss man, Bosch, isn't he? But that was an absolute beauty. Always been a man called up for the long range kick, and he just stroked that one over. Had a lot more distance on it.
Recently joined the Saracens club. Made his Premiership debut against Northampton. Didn't go quite to plan.
Stop!
CUBELLI's kick now, that might be an awkward bounce, but Mike Brown thrives on awkward, and 12 Trees supported well, and Farrell too. And now it's Tompkins. Continues the Saracens theme. Dickson to Hartley, wasn't held. Wood as well, good driving game there from England. Farrell, Billy 12 Trees, starting to get some passes going this week. Courtney Laws, Dickson, not the best service, but try scorer Launchbury didn't panic, and Brown again. That ability to step away, spin away from the first man. Real hallmark of his game. Rob Shaw, that's a hallmark of his, along with the tackles, those head-down runs. 12 Trees, lovely looking pass. Tompkins on the inside to Chris Ashton. Again, he wasn't held, so allowed to go on. Dickson to 12 Trees. Dickson again. England really building here. Launchbury. It's the game that Dickson likes, this high-tempo game. Farrell, Tompkins, out it goes to Brown, straightens nicely. This is Ashton, Ashton! Don't think he got it down initially, and he's still trying to.
It's come 5.
England will feel they should have scored that one.
It's come 5.
Really will.
Yeah,
Great
sure.
momentum in their attacking game. I think Monsieur goes absolutely certain Ashton doesn't get it down. Brown gives a pass, and you think he has to score there. Steps in his prime, he maybe scores that one, but some tremendous defence. I think Imhoff involved there, comes off his right foot. He's half checked by Amorosino, and Imhoff, the left wing, is in a great position there.
Definitely hasn't scored there, has he, Stuart? But I want to go back to the passage of play building up to it. Fascinating. 12 Trees, first receiver 3 times, goes in at 10, and then Farrell for the big power play round the corner, gets back in his slot. Clearly trying to get 12 Trees with his hands much more on the ball than he did last week.
On the theme of the England attack leading up to that move, what I liked as well, Dickson scrum half, what a change. Dylan Hartley, what an angle he picks. We saw England forwards so deep, flat, offering nothing. Look at this, he comes from deep, round the corner, bang, he's committed 3 men, and it's quick ball as well. England really asking all sorts of questions at the moment.
Chris Ashton has a fine try-scoring record for England. That would have been his 18th. But he knows the pressure's on. Christian Wade failing that fitness test. Marlon Yard also out of the side, injured this week, of course. The alternatives are arriving. He's got to prove that he's the whole package. Finishing, his finishing has never really been in doubt. He'll be disappointed. Amorosino, though, did very well indeed.
Well as Amorosino and Imhoff did. Ashton, you sense at his peak, puts that one away.
Dickson, still a good position for England. And there's Ashton again, onto 12 Trees. 12 Trees looks to use his power. He was bumped off last week, but he's doing the bumping this week.
Argentina all over the place defensively there. 12 Trees has to score the try because England have got a 2-0 wide. But the big Gloucester man has made the commitment to go for it. Won against Scotland in last year's Six Nations. England with a good nudge at the scrum. Good defensive line, a clever line from Tompkins to fix the men. 1, 2, 3 men in the end, cannot stop him. There's men outside. Tompkins with the decoy to hold them. Ball bounces free. But it's a good offload there to 12 Trees and great power.
And that will taste very nice for Billy 12 Trees in view of how he suffered at the hands of Matt Tamua last week. And that was a big hearty meal in return from 12 Trees. It was very much on, but it still needed finishing, and he certainly did that, the Gloucester centre.
I mean, the ball broke to the ground, but it was a nice decoy line. It was cleverly worked from England. Joel Tompkins came very hard. He lured a couple of Argentine midfielders in, and that meant that even though the ball went loose, England were able to scoop it up and just give 12 Trees the option, the time and the space to power over.
Substitution, play on.
And Sanchez restarts. Not Dickson this time, Ashton.
Hold!
Leguizamon again covering. and really covering the ground too. Look at that commitment there from Laws and Hartley with him. And also great commitment from the Argentina captain once more. He's filling the Fernandez Lobe boots, isn't he?
Okay.
All lost in contact by Matera. Dickson. Mike Brown always on the scene, it seems, today, and great work from Tompkins, as you say, Stuart, on that try.
Well, it's Saracen against Saracens. Bosch is holding his eye there. What he's worried about is the power of his clubmate Tompkins, and that enables Billy Twelvetrees to just find his way into space when Bosch should really be fixing the defence here. Watch this, he just steps in. He's held by Tompkins in that space. Suddenly, even though the ball goes loose, the 13 is there. Men sucked in, it's a 3-on-1, and Twelvetrees takes the powerful route to the line.
Stop.
Won by Farias Cabello, 35 years of age now. Younger Billy Vunipola, so much in front of him. He's making good impressions in the England shirt. Of course, scored against Argentina in the summer. His first appearance. There's Ben Foden, driven out. Argentina like to drift, don't they, in their defence, and then make that scrap of the breakdown. That time did break down as the ball too close to the touchline.
Didn't really help Ben Foden there, Billy Twelvetrees. Perhaps adrenaline fueled by that try threw that really hard. But there you can see at the moment England in control of this game territorially, in terms of threat and on the scoreboard.
And in on the opposition line out again. Vunipola off the floor. Farrell did well to find the angle there. Sanchez made it difficult.
Esteban, Argentina 17-6 down. Look on the back foot. What do they need to do now to get a foothold in this game?
Argentina needs to go and play on the England field. They need to build some momentum and keep the ball. We are at the moment losing counter-attacks. We have to stop England from their tempo.
Amaracino looked surprised, but England line out. And here's Vunipola again.
Esteban's point there, Argentina have to stop England picking the tempo up. They're not doing it.
Here it comes from England once more. Dickson. There's Wilson. Really impressed in Argentina in the summer. And they love a prop in that country. They have a bit of a star out there. Here's 12-3s. Trying to turn it on today for England. In the centre. Hartley.
Great line.
Good strength from Hartley. Dickson. Marler. He wants to get involved now in the loose. And he's very good at it. Dickson again, well taken by Farrell. Little flip on. England being extravagant. Tom Wood having to sort it out. And Argentina got the momentum there. But England trying things.
Well, just the quality of England's ball handling in the backs let them down in the end. But the forwards are coming onto it at so much pace. It's a completely different proposition for Argentina than it was for Australia last week. England are getting tempo. Hartley and Dickson are really central to so much at the moment. But England's backline here just overrunning again. And you can see Wood too deep, very hard for Tompkins to get the ball away. But so much good so far.
Yes.
And you can also begin to see the importance of partnerships within the team. When Youngs is on at hooker, he wants to see Parling in the second row. When there's Hartley in there, he throws to Laws, he throws to Wood. When he comes round the corner, it's Dickson, his Northampton State scrum half, and they just have that understanding where he can commit to the run because he knows his fella from his club will give him the ball.
And people who have watched a lot of Premiership rugby will have noted probably the most dynamic team in England have been Northampton. And I just think that the quartet in particular, of Hartley to Laws to Dickson, Hartley coming round the corner again and Wood picking those lines, really has, I think, ignited England in this first quarter. Big
Leicester Tigers presence here today as well, with Ajurza and Matera now. I mean, joined Ajerts with the club, of course, one of the major reasons why I did, I'm sure. Camacho too, injured today. Also former men, Amorosino, Aguja.
8.
In the Battle of the East Midlands, Northampton holding the sway at the moment. Now, what happens at this scrum?
Yes, 9.
It's coming on again from Argentina.
6, boy.
Tom Wood warned about his binding.
It's a good scrum, isn't it?
Use it.
He's very aware that he had to cover that blindside channel. Mike Brown. Caught by Aguja.
Push back.
Dickson to Laws. Wasn't even looking. He knew Rob Shaw would be there. Excellent trust between the two. Farrell, almost in a spot, but he managed to get out of it. And Launchbury carries well again. Big physical presence, Launchbury. Like an extra back row man. Laws too. Dixon's high ball. It's a bit of a hanger. Amorosino trying to baff it away. Cubelli. Good work from Argentina here, Aguja. Guzman goes in again. Seems to be involved in everything for his side.
Release, White! White, release! No hands, 8!
Warning there for Vunipola.
Stop, 3!
Amorosino. And a long way back for Chris Ashton. Amorosino again.
Move back.
Taken by Farrell and Dixon. Chance maybe for England to counter here. Laws put the brakes on well. Dixon. Well taken by Brown. It's in front of him, the space. Well covered by Fernandez. England keep it alive with Vunipola. Dixon wanted that short side.
Great ball.
Brown
from
was
Dixon.
still there.
Great ball from Dixon.
And vision to go with it. Rob Shaw. Dixon again to Farrell. 12 trees. And Tom Wood is getting through an awful lot of work. Did that last week. Hartley, who came on with such good effect last week. That's a penalty at the breakdown. England will be disappointed with how that attack ended.
Great play here. England just moving the ball wide. Courtney Laws stepping in field, and Dixon, who is just ubiquitous at the moment. Lovely pass, and that little ball, it's a missed kick for touch. That little ball from Dixon was a beauty at the narrow side.
Yes, it was Bosch who took the kick to touch, and it was that hit and miss element with the miss coming to the fore. A lazy swing of the boot. Bad miss, really, from the penalty. Got to find touch. There's Fernandez. Farias Cabello. Argentina could be about to make a change, stripped off his young Cordero. Hearing that it's Imhoff, probably the man to come off.
No, it's okay.
ALBACETE showing his experience there, but offside is the call.
Because the blue touch the ball here, you are in front.
Bit unlucky there, really, Argentina, but technically it was an offside.
No way Farrell is going to be looking at the post here. 17-6 up in England with a bucket full of momentum behind them at the moment. Their line-out catch and drive game is so good. They've protected the ball really well. They've scored one already. Does Farrell go for broke here? Put England in range to score. That's a very good kick. That's range from which they could score.
And Imhoff is struggling. I just watched him go back to the left wing position when Imhoff, and he did not move there with any conviction. And they need to make the change here, Argentina. England on the attack.
He was going off, isn't he? Yep.
And the right call has been made. Wanimov is in no fit state to defend, so on comes Santiago Cordero to make his debut for Argentina, a young man who came to notice at the 2012 World Junior Championship, the under-20s, when Argentina finished 4th. Turning to the youngsters these days, Argentina, putting great faith in them.
That's once!
Matera, of course, in the pack, just 20 years of age. And Matera and his colleagues here having to work hard against this England pack today. Foden to Farrell, wasn't really on, it was cover, but Farrell cuts back.
Push back!
Dickson, Rob Shaw and Marlow, colleagues at Harlequins, of course. Dickson again, it's much more his game today. 12 trees, and Foden. And Small, the England scrum half, is there. And Dylan Hartley gamely goes on. Down from Brown, Ashton nearly got through on it, but the flag is up on that far side.
Well, Argentina having so much problem slowing England down when they can. Just takes the pace out of the England game. But you've just seen again the Northampton axis. Foden just coming lovely little late lines. Hartley coming around the corner from Lee Dixon. It's the best attacking team in England combining to cause all sorts of problems for Argentina. And that man's having a really good start. One line out, didn't go according to plan. Other than that, it's been pretty immaculate from the Northampton side so far.
Last two meetings between these two on this ground have been tight, haven't they? 16-9 in 2009, too tight for England in 2006. Tight the other way, Argentina won 25-18 famously. Todeschini on those points in the breakaway try. Even 1996 meeting, just a couple of points between the two teams. England most convincing 13 years ago, but they stand to profit here. Rob Shaw. They've laid a good base this afternoon at Twickenham, no doubt about that. Davy Wilson looking for try number 3 in this first half. Dylan Hartley. Big ground made there. Marlow. And now it's almost a matter of inches. Dickson. Oh, there's so much space. Ashton's going to get his try. And England do score again. Those recent games with Argentina here have been too close for comfort. Nothing is being taken for granted today. England building a very promising position.
Playing very well, aren't they, England at the moment? Forwards are getting over the gain line with ease. Dixon's getting his hands on the ball. He's got more touches of the ball, I think, in 33 minutes against Argentina than he managed in 50 last week, and it's making a massive difference. Clever line out just to pull Argentina one way. Rob Shaw with the front peel, pulls a couple of forwards in. Dylan Hartley is going to pick and drive. Wilson first of all, Hartley comes round and then change of possession. And Argentina absolutely bereft. Easy for Ashton. The England forwards have done all the work there.
Smart returns for Chris Ashton. It's never far away. And there it is, that 18th international try in what is just his 36th game for his country. Owen Farrell. This will pile the agony on, it does. Not quite out of sight, but nearly. And Stuart Lancaster will want his side to really push on from here. Got it down, didn't he? Ooh, a bit of a slide on this greasy surface. Yeah. Just.
Vunipola not going to kick. Going to step.
Steps over Cordero. Leguizamon. Cubelli. Not got long once the referee has called that use it instruction. Farias CABELLO just maybe feeling his age in this first half. Could be a long afternoon for Argentina. England still tigerish on the tackling and chasing.
Yeah, Rob Shaw and Wood, very quick. They forced Argentina infield, and it's launch free again, like the extra flanker making the tackle.
Advantage of side wide, 5.
And the crowd responding. Penalty call from the referee gives Argentina some respite. They need it. They need half-time as well.
Well, there was some criticism of the Twickenham crowd for not really lifting their team last week, which seems to me utterly unfair, because England did very little themselves to really get the crowd off their seat. But they're responding with a traditional swing low at the moment, because this has been an excellent 35 minutes from England. There has been question marks about their style, about their lack of pace. First 35 minutes, they've answered those questions.
Bosch is going again. Here's Will.
Tough time for Argentina on the bench. All the possession, all the territory is with England. Esteban, what can Argentina possibly do, and what will the messages be from the coaches?
First of all, England is winning meters in every impact they made. So first of all, we have to stop them, and once we have the ball, we have to find the touchline and get some territory. After that, we need some momentum. We cannot keep on doing pick and goes in slow motion, because England is really good in defense. So when Argentina is getting those penalties is when they get 2 or 3 pick and goes on a row, but with good momentum and going through the racks.
Argentina's game is just getting suffocated at the moment, Mars.
Going for the 3-point opportunity, which sort of says something as well. And having gone for it, they don't acquire those points.
And a miss to go with a hit.
I think they rather summed it up, those Argentina supporters.
7.
Training in bright sunshine earlier in the week when they arrived. Torrential here yesterday afternoon for the captain's run, and the rain has returned now. It's pretty heavy out there, but England losing none of their ambition. Mike Brown for once losing the ball though, and maybe Argentina have something here. Agulla is waiting. Farias CABELLO striding on, fed by CUBELLI. Big men first. Now this will be the first real test of the England defence inside that 22. Their own 22 in the first half. Argentina, though, they must really take advantage of this position. It's been so rare, and they might take advantage, but no, says the referee. Sanchez, the way was created for him. He might have got away with one last week. The Owen Farrell try, but the referee right on top of the situation there.
Yeah, says the gate is opened up. That's a super take, isn't it? Brown beaten to that ball by Leguizamon. And Argentina, it's a good tackle from Dickson, but the key moment is yet to come, and that is when Sanchez is about to attack now. As Vunipola is taken by Leguizamon, isn't that different to Dylan Hartley last week, Miles?
To quote the phrase, there was enough obstruction that time.
Sums up Argentina's half, though. Nothing's gone their way. Argentina's struggling. England quick in thought and in body. It's been a really good first 40 minutes from England.
Foden on Agulla, Farrell there as well. And the appetite is still very much there for the men in white, regardless of the clock. Owen Farrell hobbling a bit. Lee Dixon there on Sanchez. He might be hobbling now after that. Referee calls a hold. That is in fact half-time, so not deemed it to be a penalty. Still having a word with Dixon, and Dixon himself is going over to check on the injured man. The rest of his teammates leave. Very satisfying position of having scored 3 tries. Job more than half done really. 11 tries they scored in the 2 summer tests. And Launchbury 12 trees and Ashton this afternoon.
Well, there aren't many corners to hide in Stuart Lancaster's environment. He is not afraid to put the pressure on his players, and two, perhaps carrying the most into today's game, have responded with tries. Billy Twelvetrees and Chris Ashton both helping the home side to a very healthy half-time lead. It has been a very good first 40 for England. More international rugby still to come today. Once we are done with the men's events here at Twickenham, it is straight over to the women's international as England take on France from 5 o'clock on Sky Sports 2. Also, for the first time ever, available on the 3D channel. And then later on tonight from 7:30 with the Stade de France as the French welcome the #1 side in the world right now, New Zealand. And you can catch that once again on Sky Sports 2. Stuart Lancaster said in the build-up to this week he wanted more from his team. He has certainly got it. 3 tries on the board already, an 18-point lead and a chance to really fill the sails in the second half. Argentina with a big test of their resolve with 40 to go. We'll hand you back once again to Stuart Barnes and Miles Harrison.
Thanks, Alex. England have made a change at half-time, and it is the return of that man, the Lion, Alex Corbisiero. Such a hero for the Lions in the summer. Recovered from his latest knee injury. Joe Marler took a bit of a knock in the first half, we're told, but I'm sure that was a change that was going to be made at some point as Corbisiero looks to show his match fitness and starts this second half doing his 19th cap. And England will be looking to start how they finished the first, right on top. Last week, 14 unanswered points in the second half when they were trailing 13-6 at half-time. Different sort of challenge today, but the coaches will want to see England power on from here.
Composure was the key word last weekend. England weren't anywhere near what they could be at their best, but they maintained their composure and won this one. Now they have a real launch pad. The foundations have been laid with a fast, pacey, intelligent first half. They would like to see a big second half here.
Dickson, so instrumental Northern England were doing in that first half. Lovely hands across the back line, and Ashton has a little bit of space to work in here. Off goes Brown and Foden in the back three, but they got in front and they were offside.
In front of a kicker.
Again, the depth of the back play, so much better than last week. It was almost like the midfield were taking the trigger off Farrell and not coming too early, and they got the blindside rommers coming round. Impressive.
Let's go down to Will Greenwood for the first time in the second half. Will.
Difficult with all that territory and possession to know what to do second half. What are the challenges, what are the opportunities from a back's perspective against a set defence from Argentina? I'm looking for a minimum of 2 line breaks. That's the sort of challenge they should set themselves. Let's go bust the line from set piece ball.
Argentina set piece to dictate here, and much better line out from them. Didn't involve Leguizamon, he was in midfield, but the captain is stopped in his tracks there. And used to be with London Irish, of course. And held up, England will put in. Now this is the one area, and with Corbisiero on now, England looking for a bit of a change here. Argentina, no great surprise, got stuck into the England scrum in the first half on a couple of occasions. England will want to reply here too now.
That's great defence, isn't it? They're Argentina coming very hard on the gain line, and Rob Shaw, Vunipola and Farrell, 3 men in on the choke. Excellent defence, hold up Argentina, turn the ball over. Now, Argentina, they've caused problems for the All Blacks all season in the Championship. They've caused problems for England in the first half. Can Corbisiero turn this around?
He's against the Montpellier man, Maximiliano Bustos, who England met in the summer, of course.
It has to be reiterated, Miles, coming off second best to Argentina at the scrums is not the end of the world.
No, there is a perspective that needs to be put on that one. And a scrum with that one for Gashu as well. Feeding at the scrum. The call from the referee, and off goes Faris Cabello. Made his international debut at the age of 32. He's 35 now. And that brief spell with London Welsh last season. Marcelo Bosch, he's joined the Premiership with Saracens. A couple of tries in the Rugby Championship. They need one now. Run here from fullback, and Amorosino tries to link with Cordero, who's on the wing for the injured Imoth. The Racing Metro man going off in the first half. Line out, Argentina ball.
Better from Argentina. It's the first time really from first phase they've been able to get behind the gain line there. Amorosino's quick, 12 trees is really struggling to hold on to him, but Ashton just holds his line and nudges him out. Fixed England in midfield, Farrell tripped and suddenly there was a little bit of room, and you can see 12 trees struggling to stay in touch with Amorosino.
Amorosino scored a try in his Heineken Cup debut with 12 trees in that Leicester side. Famous game against the Ospreys, 32 all. Game known as 12 trees match, didn't it?
That was a good line out from Argentina, they really blocked that well.
Well, they need this. They need some sort of foothold in the match. And it's up to the forwards to try and establish it, not just from the scrum. And they've got a penalty. Opt to kick before half-time. They're kicking here with the advantage. And the Gary Owen, Mike Brown, somehow came through all those bodies, made a fantastic catch. To no avail, of course, in one way, because Argentina had the penalty coming, but he still had to deal with it.
6 wide.
And dealt with it very well.
But in the first half, England really took Argentina's strength away from them, took them on at the line out. That'll encourage Argentina coming back at that particular set piece.
Esteban, what did the Argentinian coaches talk to their players about at half-time?
They spoke about taking initiative, stop waiting England and getting some momentum, getting the ball into the corners, having some good driving mauls, and build the game from there.
Was it a positive mood? Is there a positive enthusiasm even with the score at 24-6?
Yes, it is. Definitely it is.
Well, this would certainly be a positive step here if Nicolas Sanchez can provide the 3 points.
First short-range penalty attempt, of course, hence Bosch until now.
And Sanchez did get 3 points in the first half, and he gets another there. Argentina first to score in the second period.
First half, England so strong at the line out, catch and drive. Argentina plucked a very good ball themselves and earned the penalty.
Farrell restarts. Amorosino caught by 12 trees, inseparable at the moment. Sanchez out to touch this time. That won't worry England too much.
Now England quite pleased. From the restart, they've advanced 15 metres and they have the throw into the line out. So effectively, that's a pretty good restart result.
Mentioned the Ospreys in the European Cup, and of course Dylan Hartley was on fire against them this season. So scored a try against Castra. His form coming into this autumn series, and with so many of the Northampton players right up there in the sky. Courtney Laws with the take. Farrell, Vunipola, good carry. Big gain line stuff there from Vunipola. Dixon goes round on the loop. It was meant for Farrell, but it just gone. Here's Mike Brown. If you want a man to sweep it up, he's the man at the moment. So confident in his game. Rob Short. Launch spree.
Oh, that's good.
Foden. Launch spree again. Farrell. Just a few England players almost getting in the way that time, but Vunipola knew the line. And the line he so often draws is a straight one, straight upfield. It's Tompkins. Might well have lost that. Argentina thought so. They've got it now. They've got the penalty anyway for holding on.
Well played, Horacio Aguja there. The Bath winger does really well. England got themselves isolated and the Argentinian turned him over superbly. That's a superb offload there from Joe Launchbury, but the move ended with England just outstripping their support players. Lawson Launchbury again looking very impressive in every facet as a second row combination.
With plenty of assets.
Yeah.
Man of the autumn series, Launchbury alongside Courtney Laws. Looking a good engine room for England at the moment. Jeff Parling, the Lion, on the bench, will be itching to get on and see that he is a player who can bring an awful lot to England's game as well. Great competition. Dave Atwood sent out of the squad. He's been playing well at Bath with this man, Davy Wilson. Through goes CUBELLI there on Dickson, just caught him. And Sanchez. Fernandez, that looked a little bit forward. Faris Cabello, Farrell in there. But the referee going back for the initial offence.
Once or twice in the early parts of this second half, Lee Dixon hasn't been as well protected as he would have liked, and Argentina have been able to get to the England scrum half. It just might be the intensity at the breakdown has just dropped off a little bit with the 24-6 scoreline that is now, of course, 24-9.
I think we all know who that man is. Hat or no hat. And he's just been spotted by the crowd on the big screens here. Is he aware? Yes, he is. David gives away.
Danny Kerr is going through a fairly strenuous passing routine at the moment.
Inevitable that England will empty their bench. At some point they will have one eye on next week. But this is quite done yet, considering the way Argentina have started this second half, and there's still plenty of time on the clock.
Oh, half an hour, still way too far in advance to start thinking about New Zealand. They've got a game to sort out here.
But that would be the plan. And it's not going to plan at the moment. Taken quickly that time by CUBELLI, turning down the kicking chance. Interesting call. Argentina seemed intent on chipping away at the lead. Now, was that forward? No, says the referee and the assistant in line. Tackle from Laws.
Courtney Laws takes it into his own hands there to wreck Argentina with a couple of super tackles and a big hit. Nicolas Sanchez felt the weight of this man. Look at the timing on this. 1 split second late, you can't penalise him. Get away with a forward pass, but that's the sort of hit that just frightens fly halves.
Was forward, I was about to change the glasses actually.
Big opportunity with this penalty now. Go to the corner or go for distance and territory. Danny Kerr on, go off the top, get some gain line round the corner. Vunipola. First 10 minutes of that second half, the most interested the crowd have been is when they saw David Beckham on the big screen. Time now with this pen for England to wrestle back the initiative.
Good 50 minutes from Lee Dixon there. Danny Kerr comes on. He's been relegated to third choice in the England pecking order, so expect the Harlequin to really try and light up this game. Great chance for him now.
As Ben Young's pulling out yesterday, struggled to train this week with a hip problem. Won't be too much of an issue, we're told, as far as next week's concerned. Nor too for Christian Wade and Marlon Yard, had the game been Monday, Tuesday. They've been okay, nothing serious about their injuries. Vunipola. Advantage England. Farrell. Ashton. Still had the presence of mind to find Mike Brown. England's stroppy scrapper, as described by Owen Farrell. Referee gives the penalty. England try and get there quickly with Farrell.
Owen Farrell called someone a stroppy scrapper. Hint of irony there, Owen. England going back to the great strength in the first half, but Toucher just making sure the flag is in before England take this line out.
Yeah, I think his greenhouse is made of plastic and not glass.
Well, the change is about to happen now. Dylan Hartley will want to make sure what every throw he takes now is spot on the money. It's gone very well.
Good again from Hartley, finding Rob Shaw that time.
Didn't leap, did they, Argentina? Set to defend themselves there.
But England setting themselves up maybe here for their first score of the second half. Vunipola with another drive. Corbisiero. Kerr. Farrell. 12 trees. Kuja tried to get in for the breakaway as it breaks down for England. Pretty fluid at times, that back line for England today, but not on that occasion. And there goes the ever-competitive Farrell to make sure he gets there first, and he does. Finds Ben Foden, who is not taking any risks there.
I think England's pick and drive play, forwards coming around the fringes, stuff from depth has been really good, but there have been a few times to go when England have gone wide. It hasn't really functioned. There was once in the first half when it was on and England just didn't get it right, and it's happened there. They've still got a few problems with their alignment. Farrell quite deep, it's all quite lateral there. 12 trees going across, nothing really happening in the way of decoys there. A couple of times this half, England's three-quarter players left something to the imagination.
Just want to concur there with Stuart. Just feel at times a great territory, great possession, great control, and then every so often they put it out. They've gone wide off that line out when they went to the front of Billy Vunipola, and there was nothing. Again, the try for 12 trees in the first half came. It was a nice try, but it came from a loose pass inside the attacking zone that an All Blacks. So you've got to think about this in the context of where England want to be. Their challenge is to be the second best side in the world by the end of the season. Their challenge is to take on the All Blacks next week. It's a nice, comfortable win, but they'll be looking for more threat behind.
Argentina made a change in the second row department. Galaza goes and Manuel Carissa comes on. Just agreed to join the Stormers in South Africa. So many of these Argentina players sprawled all over the world with their club and provincial involvement. Doesn't make life easy for continuity and selection, for training. Now that one has gone forward.
Goes there, Saw. Goes back, penalty against Tom Wood there.
I think the officials have missed a couple, haven't they? But not that one.
Well, there's still a game to be won from England here, but I'm just, if they looking ahead, Will, do you see England sticking very much to their first 40 minutes game plan next week, just trying to get pace around the fringes and get the forwards running at those shoulders of the New Zealand 1-2 out rather than going to those wide channels?
Well, I think they have to right now. I think there's a front five that Stuart Lancaster could pick. 5 from any 10. Real strength in depth. You see Hartley or Youngs, Corbisiero, Vunipola, all these names. Cole, Wilson, strong. Parling coming on, strong. They're just working at the moment. It's a very, very young backline. We mustn't forget that. Not many caps between them. So you've got to play with your strengths. You clearly want to play with rhythm and tempo against the All Blacks, but you've got to go from the platform that front five and pack will provide.
It's the furthest Sanchez has been away. 2 reasonably close efforts, but that one still no problem. And Argentina chip away. 24-12 now. England bringing on 2 fresh men. Jeff Parling returns after being out last week. That concussion precaution, and Ben Morgan comes on as well. That means Vunipola goes. And Courtney Laws is the lock who's sacrificed. Oh, Ben Foden did well to get there.
Well, England really do need to just find the accelerator again. They've slowed down a bit, and Argentina are getting the drives going, they're getting the penalties, and they're putting some pressure on England, and they're one converted try from being right back in this game. Great commitment there from Ben Foden. Don't know whether he carried that out or not. He hasn't had many opportunities, but everything he's done has been quite good, and I think he's going to be a contender for next week as well, Foden, with the extra experience every yard.
Not in his club position, of course. That's full-back. Referee blows.
19 blue.
CUBELLI has scored back.
19 blue.
Carissa, not been on the field long, but he's given a penalty away. There's CUBELLI.
Does Chris Robshaw now say, hey, 24-12, we've lost the control on the scoreboard a little bit. Let's go for 3 points and just put ourselves 17 away. Let's just keep them right out of the game.
That is the call.
It's a hugely positive decision, but for the Argentinian team, Esteban, the fact that early on in that first half, straight for the corner, go for the 7-pointer. Now, Argentina chipping away at England.
Yes, well, they are building a bit of momentum. They're keeping better the ball, and they are using the points that they get. Unluckily, we did play a quick penalty that didn't allow us to get 9 points behind England, and now this penalty could get us a bit further away.
It's a nod of the hat to how Argentina are playing in this second half, that Farrell this time tries to get them 15 points clear, that 3-score lead.
Scored 9 points in the first half. It was a scrappy old kick, and it didn't have enough. Ashton. Care. And Launchbury.
Doesn't he play well again? Does all the little things very well.
Set that back beautifully, didn't he? 12 trees. And Farrell keeps it going somehow onto Foden. England stuttering here. It's the little things, but they start to add up. Morgan didn't control the ball there, lost it in the tackle. CUBELLI finds his fly half. Sanchez who clears. Ashton. Threw the ball inside. Now, talked about trust before, but that was maybe trusting too much.
No, that's loose and lucky, Miles. That's not trust, that's poor play. That sums up England in the second half. They've gone to sleep a bit. Mentally, they've switched off.
12 trees, Ashton. Trying to switch it back on, get that shape back. CUBELLI. Mike Brown now. Oh, he's going to give it to Farrell. Slightly better place for that. Territory is the game initially then from England here.
Well, I think big role now for Chris Robshaw as captain. England were so definitive in everything they did. They played with such pace in the first half. Second half, they've got very loose. They've handed the initiative at the breakdown to Argentina, and they're messing around with some inaccurate lateral stuff from their backs. Robshaw needs to get people like him and Wood and Hartley coming off Danny Care and getting direct game going again, because at the moment this performance is just slipping away from them.
England used half-time last week to sort it out. They have to use the midway point of this second half to get a grip again here. Just take stock.
Play on.
Captain with a tackle. Trying to find the right words as well. It's Argentina's captain, Leguizamon, with that drive, and Ajurtza too. CUBELLI to Sanchez. Fernandez, the Bayern man. CUBELLI. Well, that's well done by Sanchez, who also plays in France with Bordeaux-Bègles. Carissa.
Release!
Referee's trying to keep a flow to it. CUBELLI again to Bosch. Leguizamon in the wide channel. Agulla. English players know all about him and how he bounces off the tackles if given the space. The former Leicester man now in the West Country in Bath. Carissa. CUBELLI looking for support. England's defence, though, is mightily impressive.
Back 4.
Very few gaps out there for Argentina, and CUBELLI forced to kick it away.
It is, but they will be tested against something slightly slicker next week. And they will be concerned that Argentina are getting so much possession at the moment. Wilson and Hartley involved. It's very much like the Australia game. The front five's work rate in the tackle area is very good indeed.
More changes. Stuart Lancaster, Graham Trietto. They brought on Toby Flood, England's most capped player in the 23. Argentina make a change as well. England make another with 12 trees going up. And it's a change for Argentina at number 9 with Landacco, Martin Landacco coming on for CUBELLI.
Release, tackler!
So Flood gone to midfield. Bit of a talking point there, I'm sure. Farrell currently is England's sweeper along with Mike Brown. Farrell takes control.
Move back, move back!
It's not great from Amorosino, but he had time and he used it well to recover. Landacco's service.
Stop. Move back 5.
Up comes Mike Brown again, he's rising. That came off an Argentina hand to Corbisier. Tompkins was given that a belt. That goes dead, then it will be a scrum all the way back, but the in-goal areas here are very big, and Tompkins grateful for it.
You can sense it, you can see it. The shape has gone from the England game at the moment as we get a dual Leicester substitution in the front row with Tom Youngs and Dan Cole coming on. Very quickly, Will, 12 trees, your thought on how he went, and the fact that Toby Flood again has come on inside centre with Farrell staying 10.
A better performance from 12 trees this week. Fascinating. Looking forward to hearing what Stuart Lancaster made that change for. Is it he's protecting 12 trees with no other option at 12 because he doesn't feel he could throw a Burrell in against the All Blacks next Saturday.
England looking to cause congestion in centre field again. Strangle the Argentina attacks. Landacco. And he was banned for a week for a stamp against Australia in the Rugby Championship. England penalty. Kerr wants that tempo back, he wants the ball back to provide it.
England are desperate for the tempo at the moment. Argentina have taken a lot more of the possession and they've controlled the ball and they've been driving England, and England have looked a very loose second half. It's been quite a schizophrenic second half. The first half England played with so much accuracy. The second half has been very loose, extremely disappointing. No other word to describe it so far.
I don't think there would have been many people in the stadium as Farrell really goes for that. That's a fine kick indeed. But at half-time would have thought at this point of the second half, 64 minutes into the game, that England would not have added to their half-time score. Even the most passionate of Argentina supporters, and there are plenty of those.
6-0 Argentina in the second half. I think that's quite an effort from the South American team.
So Tom Youngs to throw in. Crowd try and lift England. England lift Jeff Parling.
Leicester combo straight away, Young's Parling.
Back with Launchbury. Good feed from him. Farrell to Flood. Looking for the handoff, Toby Flood. Did really well. Now can he give it to Kerr? Play on, says the referee. Leguizamon. Not coming from an offside position. And he's done it.
Further frustration there for England. And again, just the inaccuracy in this second half, letting Argentina off the hook. And missed kick there from Amorosino.
Yeah, his left boot didn't work there, found Foden. Here's Mike Brown, who doesn't really want to use his left boot here. Finds Tompkins. Kerr. Farrell.
So that's very lateral and slow. Look at this.
Flood and Morgan and Rob Short. I was saying earlier, that's the way Australia love to defend as well. They'll snuff that out all day.
Well, Rob Short definitely went into touch there. England are very lucky to get that penalty.
Argentina like to take a side wide, and England doing it for them.
Just with Esteban, just the frustration there. You defend well, and again another penalty misses touch.
It is a big frustration because we are having much more the ball, and in the moments like this, when after defending a few minutes, what you want is get out of your territory, have the ball again, and build something.
Oh dear, Farrell was going for the corner again, but was the wrong side of the flag.
Not going well for England in the midfield, not going well for Owen Farrell as well at the moment, but Owen Farrell circled there, and just watch the line he takes. A fly half taking this line, all it does is say to Argentina, off you go. You can't do that. What's the line he takes now? He's just sending the Argentinians across, and even though England have a little bit of space, they're never going anywhere there. And as you can see, Rob Shaw does go into touch. So in a way, justice is done there, Mars.
Juan Pablo Orlandi is on now, into the Argentina front row. England lose it on the restart. Albacete went on. Ajurza. Fernandez. And Foden. It's a very good kick in the end. It had Foden all kind of question marks running through his mind.
Question marks going through the English mind. Restart so important. The third set piece. Watch Matera take out Jeff Parling there. I think he's a fraction early, but it's only a fraction. And then Albacete carries on. And Argentina, instead of losing ball, a winning ball off England, and they're 5 metres from the try line. Argentina are showing great heart and real intelligence this half.
Macome is now on. There he is, number 20, goes into that breakdown. Extra forward. I don't think Argentina will mind that.
Getting themselves right back in this game. One score
with the drive. Yeah, totally changes it. Totally. England really have to defend well here. They have done all afternoon again. Macome bounced. And Danny Kerr. So England get the knock on. And here at Twickenham today, the middle Saturday of the Autumn International Series this year. Very healthy attendance again, of course. And New Zealand to come next week, when you will not be able to get a ticket for love nor money.
Fascinating prospect, isn't it? England have still got work to do to close out Argentina. Scrum on there, put in. against the Argentine scrum with 12 minutes to go. But England, if they play like they have in the second half, will be steamrolled by the All Blacks. If they play as they did in the first half, we've got a really competitive game on our hands. Fair to say, Rob Shaw still chivying his team on, but he hasn't been able, I don't think, to change the shape of what England are trying to do. They've got loose and they've unravelled a little bit, and they just haven't been able to bind it all back up.
Argentina disrupted by all these injuries. They pulled Matera out into the back line.
Here to here, okay? No head to head. No
You can see number 6 standing in the centre.
Well, all this position comes about from the fact that he got to Jeff Parlin. Even if it was a fraction early, Parling will be disappointed. England will be disappointed with the structure around that restart and the way Argentina were able to steal the ball and take the territory.
5, 6, yes, 9.
Look at the pride coming through in that Argentina scrum, but England, often the case there in those situations,
You didn't push straight.
get the award because it wasn't kept straight, it was whipped round. Don't think Ajurza will see it that way.
Well, it's his mate Pablo Orlandi. 18 is the guy penalised. But you look at the English angle there. I mean, Corbisiero, his rear end was facing to the crowd from the moment that scrum started.
But you also mentioned Orlandi too, Stuart, and his angle there was not a particularly good one. Referee made the call England's way.
It wasn't a scrum of beauty anyway, was it?
That's Landako.
Tom Young's not helping his cause there, overthrowing quite badly.
Argentina not close enough at the moment to make England too nervous, but another score. And it will be very different. Mike Brown.
Stop 22.
Argentina just starting to win the little street fights. You saw that 22 that Stuart talked about. Matera jumped just early into play. That line out, Albacete just rises, just a nudge on the English jumper. With that, it looks overthrown. They're just starting to do the knees and the elbows that we associate with the Argentine teams that put you off your stride and question your precision.
It's the game that England feared and Argentina wanted. And Cordero, it was nearly through there. It's flying the youngster. Albacete.
No, 6.
The Toulouse man looks to the referee, penalty.
You straight going down, okay? Yeah, ready.
Now is this the point of the game where they change tack a little bit? Away from the kicks. No.
On your feet, please.
Still going for goal. Still feel they've got time, but they can't really hang around with anything now, Argentina.
Watch this. This is brilliant line from Cordero. And I think it's Ben Morgan just gets his right hand in the way it is Morgan. And you know, Cordero is sprinting towards the line if the Gloucester number 8 doesn't get there. Very clever line out from Argentina. And they're patient. 24-12, this goes over. Still a way to go, but still time on the board.
We've seen the hot and cold of Marcelo Bosch. If he's hot here...
It just seems within Sanchez's range to be straight in front, Miles, and clips it so much more sweetly.
Bosch, no, it's the wrong call to give it to him.
Well, Sanchez has been hitting it from that sort of distance on angles really well, and I don't know, he is. We said, he's a hit-and-miss merchant.
Wasn't the right call to go for post anyway. Maybe that was the time for Argentina to put it in the corner, like England did earlier in the game and made their statement. Here's Cordero, gets away from Ashton far too easily, really, and the youngster again shows exactly what he can do, what he did in under-20 colours for Argentina and also in the Sevens team. Makome, Landako, Farias Cabello. Through the hands of Fernandez initially, and now Agulla seems to have recovered from his knock earlier. Andako, Albacete. It's very vocal at the end of the Phelan regime. These men trying to impress the new man, Daniel Hukade, and he'll be liking what he's seeing in this second half. Argentina winning the second half, 6-0, but not the match.
Use it!
6 minutes under now to change that.
Use it!
Andako. Offload from Makome. Somehow they've come through the middle of all of that with the ball still. Fernandez on to Bosch. Foden steps in, helped out by Tom Youngs. There's Amorosino, caught by Morgan. England trying to rip the ball away. Tom Wood's in there.
More form.
And the knock on given.
Well, I'll tell you what, if Steve Hansen is watching this before New Zealand's game against France tonight, he'll be interested here. Cordero, the wing, sees it's a one-on-one there, but look at England's defensive shape here. They're expecting Argentina to counter into the wide channels, but Argentina come back into this hole, and England have got nothing there at all. New Zealand will not be frightened to counter their big 6-7 metres there. Australia often do that. They come back where the kickers come from, and suddenly there was a great big hole there.
Alex Good replaces Mike Brown. Words of Stuart Lancaster this week. Good played, best he's ever seen in Saracens colours last week. Good response to not being part of the squad. Look how the possession has changed, how the scoreboard has changed. But only to a certain extent. England still have the victory very much in their hands. But it's not as satisfying as it was at half-time. Once again, Argentina making it tough for England at Twickenham.
Well, I think England have just about got enough in hand now to win this game. So for my QB man of the match, I'm going to England. And I'm going to the players who did the damage in the first half. In particular, I think the Northampton quintet did well. Lee Dixon gave them real impetus. But my man on the bench last week, starting this week, Dylan Hartley, I thought he was accurate in the line-out. He gave him the real oomph and impetus coming onto the ball. He is my QBE man of the match. If not Tash of the day. Certainly not Tash of the day.
The problem is on this side, okay?
Can England find the finish?
I stay here.
That seemed so obvious at half-time, it almost seemed inevitable. If England were looking for a bonus point, they really would be. Sorry tonight, wouldn't they?
Yes, 9.
But they're not in the Rugby Championship. About to meet a second team from that competition. But they really will want the flourish here at the end to head into New Zealand, the winners of that championship again this year.
I know there's multi-changes going on in the set piece and in the front, and Argentina possibly tiring, but by hook or crook, Corbisiero has come on, and England are getting themselves a share of penalties from the scrum. I don't think there's any doubt at all England's loose head next week against New Zealand will be Alex Corbisiero. He's come on for a run, he's got rid of his injury, looks sharp.
Time off.
Maybe time for one final change. Nahul Lobo has come on And he's going to be joined by Santiago Iglesias Valdez, the replacement hooker, who comes on for Eusebio Iñárritu of Bath. So Leicester's Marcus Ayerza leaves us as well. Their work done for the day. Argentina's work much better in the second half. England, with Parling's win, go for it now. Ben Morgan, oh, he's really gone for it. There's the flourish at the end. England were really starting to open up in the first half. That seems quite a long time ago now. But that's got the players standing on the bench. The flags waving. And England celebrating the victory again.
Well, instead of going wide and just getting lateral and aimless, England have hit them in the middle, and then quick ball, Ben Morgan coming hard and straight. In the first half, those are the lines England were taking. OK, there's missed tackles, but that is a dramatic line from the Gloucester number 8. Bounces through a couple of tackles, but instead of going wide and aimless, England have gone back to the game they played so well in the first half, and suddenly there's brute force again. England needed that.
Scoreline looks a whole lot more convincing as well, doesn't it? That will make Stuart Lancaster, Andy Farrell, Graham Rowntree, Mike Catt, though they're not showing it at the moment, feel a bit better.
Better restart as well.
Cab and Ashton. England have the penalty anyway.
Today's key match as scheduled by Sky is England's number 2, Dylan Hartley.
Man of the match announced to the crowd, Dylan Hartley.
Wonderful impact there from England. Just thinking the subs haven't done as well as last week, and then Ben Morgan comes and does this. Hit straight down the middle, and then great pace. He's a big man, you know, but he's got a stride and a half on him. He really accelerates off the blocks, doesn't he? He's quick.
Trying the first test
Space, please.
against Argentina in the 7, like Billy Vunipola. He's got a contest with Vunipola now for that number 8 starting jersey, but Morgan, pleased personally, no doubt, with that little moment to show exactly what he can do when it comes to the power game as well. Tom Young's throws. Tom Wood at the tail, Chris Robshaw, Toby Flood. Suddenly England look like they might be getting greedy again. Foden inside to Ashton. Two former colleagues at Northampton. Ashton now with Saracens. They were looking forward to playing with each other again out there. But Ashton stripped, and Argentina have a chance to try and get the ball away. Ashton coming back at Makome. And Ndako, tackle from Morgan. Leguizamon, as we knew he would, going right to the end here. And Argentina going wide. Tom Wood with the tackle.
Tremendous again. Tom Wood's put in a very solid series of performances, isn't he?
Some players picked up some paintwork there. England looking to pick up another score. In time added on. Amorosino. Argentina aren't going to want to boot it off. They want to, even if it seems unlikely, try and get something from there, but they're being driven towards their own line. They might have to concede here, Argentina.
No, let's. No, it's not easy.
And they do. And there it is. England go into their final match of the autumn series unbeaten. And 2 of the Rugby Championship teams have been taken down in a week. It seemed it would be a much bigger win at half-time. 24-6 it was then, but that late score from Ben Morgan makes it feel and look that little bit better for that England team. But it is a win, and that should always be worth having in international rugby. But next week, it's the big one. The All Blacks are back in town, and England need to be more first half than second.
Well, credit to Argentina for never giving it, but let's try and contextualise England's performance. They were very strong, they were very slick, they were very quick in the first half. In the second half, they were almost anemic. They took their eye off their game. They got too lateral. They don't have a back line ready to take on the All Blacks. The final try from Ben Morgan was a reminder of what England do have. Big, powerful ball carriers who can hurt any team in the world around the fringes. If they can put the first 40 minutes rugby together for 80, they can give New Zealand a game. If they play anything like as loosely as they did in the second half, it will be embarrassing. Plenty of good pluses for England, and in a way, you know, the way they played in the second half, that might be the best news of all, because it will be a real reality check, and it will tell England exactly what they can and cannot do at this moment in their development.
And there is undoubtedly a fire and a passion to Argentina rugby that we saw there in the second half. It's been a difficult year for them, the loss of a coach. And that win against Georgia will seem a long time ago for them. They struggled in the Rugby Championship, got close against Australia in Perth, but suffered at the hands of South Africa and Howe in the away game. And of course Australia in Argentina, the final game for Coach Phelan. So they came here having to pick themselves up. Wales and then Italy still to come at the end of this hard year, and didn't they really equip themselves well in that second half? True competitors to the last.
Well, they do have the ability to just take control of the ball. In the first half, I thought England's early try from the line-out took the wind out of their sails. They scrummaged very well, but they had little else in their game. In the second half, they got their drive going, they turned England over a few times, they tightened up their game. When they play Wales, when they play Italy, they don't want to worry about pace in the game, they want to worry about controlling the ball, controlling the pace of the game. If they do that, they can make themselves competitive again. But as they leave Twickenham, they have to think 31-12 is a fair old hammering at test match level.
Yes, that is the bottom line, really, to that scoreline. And England created that scoreline with that first half performance, leading with those three excellent tries in the first period, 24-6 when they went in at half-time. So England have won the last 6 now at Twickenham since South Africa last year. And they are still in line for their first clean sweep in the autumn international period since 2002. With Rob Shaw, Dylan Hartley, leaders of this side. Once again, apologies for any bad language that you might have heard as our microphone went right into the huddle there. What needs to be said primarily in the few days to come is one for Stuart Lancaster, his coaches, and Chris Robshaw. But we're going to hear the words of the England captain now, right on the back of the victory, and his initial reaction given to Graham.
Chris, well done. Congratulations on the win. I was beginning to worry where the try bonus point was coming from. Were you getting a bit concerned?
Yeah, we probably the opposite of last week, to be honest. We came out...
Your image, wasn't it?
Yeah, exactly. We came out kind of all guns blazing and got off to a flying start. Some great tries by the boys, in great shape as well. Unfortunately, yeah, Argentina came out kind of full kind of with a bit more impetus, I think, kind of second half, and put us under a lot more pressure.
Was it down to them, do you think, or did you just drop off and get a bit dozy after the half-time?
I think probably a little bit of both. Credit to them. I mean, we need to look at ourselves going into next week and make sure we are switched on and ready to go. I mean, it's an exciting week ahead now. We got some good momentum going into it as well.
First 40, Chris, was good. What pleased you most about it?
I think the shape. I mean, especially after last week, we were very effective at breakdowns and stuff like that, our scrum and line out, but struggled to actually get numbers in motion. I think this week, especially in the first half, we got a lot of numbers in motion, players working hard for each other and offering themselves up.
It's hard to put your finger on these kind of things right now, but can you put a finger on exactly why is it England plays so well just for 40 minutes and can't compete it longer than that?
I'm not really sure. It's something we'll have to look at in the week. I'm sure there's a lot of opportunities. We slipped off a couple of tackles in the second half as well, which allowed them to get ahead of steam and allow us to kind of probably go the opposite direction. We'll focus and we'll get it sorted.
1 gear, 2 gears or 3 gears for next week? How many more are you going to have to go up?
Yeah, it's always a tough challenge, isn't it? I mean, the fans have been excited and looking forward to that game for quite a while now. We've had 2 very tough tests, and we've come through them. A lot of positives has come, and a couple of areas to work on as well. But no, everyone in the squad's looking forward to it, and hopefully it'll be a good week.
Well done on the win, Chris. Thanks for talking to us. Appreciate it. Thank you. Mel, commiserations. I think at half-time there have been a few Argentinian fans who've been a bit fearful of what the scoreline was going to be at half-time. What did you say to yourselves in there, and how did you manage to put it round in the second half, Martin?
To be honest, the first half was pretty bad for us. We couldn't handle the ball. We couldn't put on the pitch what we trained in the week, and that happened. So we talked in the changing room in the halftime, and we said that we should go out and show some character, some personality, and I think we did it, but still a lot of work to do, and we saw it at the end of the match.
Did you think in the second half there that you could win it?
Yeah, definitely. But as we showed, we need to work. We were there. We put a lot of pressure on England. We get what we planned, but then we lost many balls, and that's what we need to work this week to play against Wales.
You've played New Zealand a lot in recent weeks. England play them next week. When they play, who will win?
England, New Zealand.
England, New Zealand next week. Who will win? You've played them both. Who will win?
I don't know. It's going to be a tough match. They are both the best team in the world and one of the top 3, top 4. So it's going to be a great match to watch.
Enjoy your game next week as well. Nice to talk to you. Thanks, man.